Welcome to ChapterCast, your chapter-by-chapter guide to your behavior modification, principles and procedures, 7th edition textbook. In this video, we will cover Chapter 7, Stimulus Control, Discrimination and Generalization. Are you ready to get started? Alright, let's talk about something we all know. You're in a quiet room, maybe a library, maybe you're just trying to enjoy a nice, peaceful moment. Then you hear it, that specific ringtone. You know the one. It's the default iPhone ringtone, marimba. Instantly, about 10 people, including you, all reach for their pockets. It's like a reflex, a weird synchronized dance we all do. We hear that sound and our brains go, "Phone, it's mine, answer it." It doesn't matter if it's actually our phone or the phone of the person 3 rows back. That sound has us completely trained. Now think about your own phone. You probably have a special ringtone for your mom. You probably have a special ringtone for your best friend. When you hear that special song, you know exactly who is calling without even looking at the screen. This whole thing, this automatic reaction to a specific signal, is what we're going to talk about today. It's called stimulus control. And it sounds super scientific and complicated, but it's not. It's happening all around you every single day. It's in the way your dog gets excited when you pick up its leash. It's in the way you automatically slow down your car when you see a red light. It's the reason you feel a sudden urge for popcorn the second you walk into a movie theater and get a whiff of that buttery smell. It's like our brains are running a little program that says, if you see this, do that. So we're all just walking around being controlled by sounds and sights and smells? Well, kind of, yeah. But it's not as scary as it sounds. In fact, it's incredibly useful. Okay, let's get into it. What is stimulus control? Put simply, it's when a specific signal or cue in our environment makes a certain behavior more likely to happen. Think of it like a director on a movie set. The director yells, "Action!" and the actors start their scene. The word action is the stimulus, and it controls the behavior of acting. The actors don't just start reciting their lines whenever they feel like it, they wait for that specific cue. That's stimulus control in a nutshell. It's the traffic cop of our behavior, telling us when to go, when to stop, and when to proceed with caution. This is so important because it brings order to our world. Without it, our behavior would be random and chaotic. Let's take another example. Think about your microwave. It's full of buttons, right? But you probably only use a few of them. Finger hovering over popcorn. When you see the button that says popcorn, you press it to make popcorn. The word popcorn is a stimulus that has gained control over your button-pushing behavior for that specific purpose. Why? Because in the past, pressing that button has resulted in delicious, buttery popcorn. Pressing defrost for your popcorn bag would lead to a sad, soggy mess. So your behavior is guided by the cue that has a history of paying off. So stimulus control is basically about learning. It's the process of our brain making a connection between a signal and the consequence of our response to that signal. This process is happening constantly, shaping almost everything we do, from the big important decisions down to the tiny automatic habits we don't even think about. It's the secret ingredient that helps us learn, adapt, and navigate our very complicated lives. Now here's where it gets really interesting. How do we learn that this signal means do something? How do we learn that that signal means do nothing? This is called stimulus discrimination. It's our ability to tell the difference between stimuli and behave differently in the presence of each one. It's why you stop at a red light but go at a green one. You have learned to discriminate between the two colors and what they mean for your driving behavior. If you didn't have this skill, driving would be, well, it would be a demolition derby. And not the fun kind. This learning process is called discrimination training. It sounds like something you'd send your misbehaving pet to, but it's something we all go through. It works by reinforcing a behavior in the presence of one stimulus, not reinforcing it, even punishing it in the presence of another. Let's go back to your dog. You want to teach it to sit. You say the word, sit. When the dog's cute little butt hits the floor, you give it a treat. Lots of praise. You've just reinforced the sitting behavior in the presence of the verbal cue, sit. It's a party. But what if you say a different word, like kite? The dog might look at you, confused. It might sit anyway, hoping for a treat. But this time, you don't give it one. After a few tries, the dog starts to learn. Sit means a treat is coming if I put my butt down. Kite means nothing. The dog is learning to discriminate between the two sounds. The word sit becomes the signal for sitting. The word kite becomes a signal that sitting won't get it anything. You're not being mean. You're just being a clear teacher. This applies to us humans all the time. Think about a toddler learning to talk. They see a cat and say doggy. Parent corrects, no sweetie, that's a kitty. They see a golden retriever and say doggy. Parent praises, yes, good job, that's a doggy. The child is getting reinforcement, praise, for using the word doggy in the presence of an actual dog but not in the presence of a cat. Through this process of discrimination training, the child learns to tell the difference, refining their language and understanding of the world. It's how we all learn to be so smart. The science behind this stuff is fascinating. A lot of what we know came from researchers working with animals, especially pigeons. I know pigeons, but they're actually pretty smart. In classic experiments, scientists taught a pigeon to peck a small plastic disc to get food. They showed a green light. When the pigeon pecked, food appeared. Then they switched the light to red. Pecks now produce nothing. It didn't take long, pigeons learned quickly. Expert peckers, but only under green. Green light equals discriminative stimulus, or SD, reinforcement is available. Red light equals S delta, reinforcement not available. They discriminated perfectly. Stimulus control was established. Okay, we've been throwing around some scientific-sounding terms, so let's take a minute and break them down. I promise it's easy. First up is the word antecedent. This is just a fancy word for what happens right before a behavior. It's the A in the ABC model of behavior. The antecedent is the cue. The antecedent is the signal. The antecedent is the trigger. The ringing phone is the antecedent to you answering it. The green light is the antecedent to you pressing the gas pedal. It's the setup for the whole show. It's what sets the stage for a behavior to happen. Next, we have the discriminative stimulus. We call it the SD for short because scientists love abbreviations. This is a special kind of antecedent. The SD is the signal that tells you a specific behavior is going to be reinforced. It's the green light, it's the open sign on a shop, it's your dog's leash, it's the popcorn button, SD arrow reinforcement available. It's the cue that says, hey, if you do this thing right now, something good will probably happen. On the flip side, we have the S delta. Think of the delta symbol as meaning different or nothing. The S delta is also an antecedent, but it signals a behavior will not be reinforced. It's the red light. It's the closed sign. It's the leash hanging on the hook, untouched. S delta arrow, no reinforcement. When the S delta is present, the chances of you doing the behavior go way down because you've learned it's not going to pay off. Finally, let's talk about stimulus class. This is a group of stimuli that all trigger the same response. For example, the stimulus class for dog includes golden retriever, chihuahua, poodle, Great Dane. They all look different, but a child learns to say doggy for all of them. Moving on to our next section, the three-term contingency. Pieces that all involve a before, during, and after. Would you happen to know how these pieces all fit together? I know, here we go with another term. But it's the last big one and super simple. It's just like recording ABC data, using those three pieces: the antecedent, behavior, and consequence. This formula explains why we do what we do. It's a story, beginning, middle, end. First, signal, the antecedent. Then, what you do, the behavior. Finally, what happens afterwards, the consequence. Let's tell a story. Imagine you're at home and feel chilly. Chilly feeling equals antecedent. A. You get up and turn up the thermostat. Behavior. B. Warm air blows, you feel cozy. The consequence. C. Chilly room. Turn up the thermostat, then feel warm and cozy. A punishment example. While cooking, a glowing red burner. Antecedent. You touch it. Behavior. An immediate consequence. The sharp burning pain. Ouch. Consequence. Now you're less likely to touch glowing burners, so the burner becomes an SD for avoiding it. How about when you get a text from your bestie? Your phone buzzes, the antecedent. You open the message, behavior. It's a funny meme that makes you laugh. Consequence. An example while driving. A. A police car in the rear view. B. Check the speedometer and slow down. C. Avoid a ticket. When things are kinda sorta the same, it's generalization. We've discussed discrimination, distinguishing between things. Now the opposite, stimulus generalization. Behavior trained with one stimulus also shows up with other similar stimuli, even if it wasn't trained with them. This is incredibly important. Without generalization, we'd be like robots, able to perform a task in only one super specific situation. Think about learning to read. Child recognizes the letter A in a favorite picture book, sees A on a street sign, sees A on a cereal box, sees A in a different font, sees A in a different size. They don't need to be retaught each time. Learning generalized from the book to the whole class of A. Sometimes generalization is too broad at first. That's overgeneralization. Our toddler, learning about cats versus dogs, might see a cow and shout doggy, might see a squirrel and shout kitty. They've applied the label to other four-legged animals. It's natural, shows they're trying to apply new knowledge. This happens with fears too. A scary encounter with a big German shepherd might make someone afraid of German shepherds. Fear can generalize to all big dogs, or even all dogs, big and small. On the positive side, generalization lets us take a skill learned at school, skill learned in a therapy session, and use it in the real world. It's the bridge from controlled learning to applying it everywhere. Let's move on to the next section. So, what does the research say? Spoiler. It's fascinating. For over a century, scientists have studied stimulus control. They've found some really cool things. One key finding: the generalization gradient. It's just a way of showing how generalization works. Imagine a pigeon trained to peck one shade of green. Scientists then show slightly different shades. A little more yellow-green, a little more blue-green. The pigeon doesn't just stop pecking. It pecks most at the original green, a bit less at similar shades, and less as the color gets more different. Draw that on a graph and you get a little hill with a peak at the trained stimulus, like slowing way down for a familiar police car, but only a little for a weird security car. Similar stimulus, weaker response. Another area, stimulus equivalence. This is where things get brainy. Printed word cat, that's A. Spoken word cat, that's B. The actual furry cat, that's C. Your brain links A to B, B to C, and without extra training, A to C. You've formed an equivalence class. Word, sound, picture equals same meaning. Example, numeral 4, the word for, 4 dots on a page. Researchers can teach these relationships explicitly. Big breakthroughs for learning disabilities and autism. It shows connecting different stimuli is how we make sense of the world and build our knowledge. Now let's recap everything by putting it all together. So we've talked about ringtones, pigeons, traffic lights, big fancy words. What's the takeaway? Why does this matter? Understanding stimulus control, discrimination, and generalization is like having a user manual for behavior, for you and others. It gives us tools for teaching, learning, and changing behavior for the better. It's not manipulation, it's understanding. For parents and teachers, these ideas are gold. Want a child to clean their room? Create clear signals. Put a checklist on the wall, an SD to cue cleaning. Follow up with reinforcement. Praise. Extra screen time. Reduce tantrums at the grocery store. Identify antecedents. Is it the candy aisle? Avoid the aisle. Remove the SD. Manage antecedents and consequences to guide behavior, not just react. Set kids up for success. These principles underpin many therapies. They help overcome phobias by slowly changing scary stimuli to neutral. They're used in animal training. Guide dogs stopping at curbs, pets learning tricks. At work, companies use these ideas to improve safety. A loud specific alarm, a clear SD, signaling an emergency, regular drills, behavior practice. Understanding these concepts helps us be more compassionate and effective. When we see puzzling behavior, ask, what were the antecedents? What were the consequences? It helps us see the whole picture. Build a healthy habit. Teach your child to read. Understand why you crave popcorn at the movies. It all comes back to these simple ideas. It's about signals and what happens when we respond. That's a pretty powerful thing to know. That wraps up Chapter 7, Stimulus Control, Discrimination and Generalization. If this breakdown helped your studying, be sure to like, subscribe, and share with classmates or colleagues. Don't miss the next chapter, where we'll explore Chapter 8, Respondent Conditioning. Thanks for watching and learning with ChapterCast, where every chapter becomes easier to master, where we can listen, learn, retain. See you in the next video.